3, 2, 1. Action. Hello, ladies.
Hi, Ian. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's very nice to see you. Welcome back to the VIP Collective. It's so hard to believe it was almost a year ago that you guys were sitting. Actually, it was over a year ago now that you were sitting across the table from me. For everyone who's listening and watching, we are sitting today with Michelle Garber and Tamara Niyazov, from owners of Fab Fete Events. Hello, ladies. Welcome back.
Thank you so much
for having us.
So for anyone
Congratulations, by the way.
Well, thank you.
Congratulations. It's amazing.
We're officially a year on the podcast. So very exciting times. Hard to believe, but it's gone fast.
You pronounced my last name correctly. Good for you.
I learned. So anyone listening or watching who hasn't caught their story, you can check it out on season 1, episode 9 of the VIP Collective over on YouTube or on any of our listening channels. So I want to welcome you guys back and thank you for taking the time to sit in and talk a little bit about COVID. So when this began, obviously our in-person podcast became on hold because we're not able to kind of go that route anymore. So I wanted to do something that was still going to be able to benefit our listeners and followers by doing the COVID-19 advice series and checking in with some of our past guests and seeing what your experience has been so far so that we can kind of guide people who are also going through this. So thank you for taking the time to jump on with me today. And
Thanks for having us.
Michelle, we're matching. We've got this blue thing going on.
I knew what you were going to wear. I felt it. So.
Right?
I feel so out of place.
Well, you look great. You look great. So let's jump into a little bit and we haven't seen or heard from you guys yet. So let's talk a little bit about what kind of your experience has been since March. We're now 4 months into COVID and into this new lifestyle of COVID. And it's really hard to believe it's been 4 months already. I don't know if you guys are feeling that about how quickly this has gone, but here we are. So what's kind of been the experience with your clients so far? So this is kind of like the interesting topic because now we're rounding into middle of July and, clients have made their decisions for the majority of this year. So what kind of have you guys been seeing so far?
Tam, do you want me to start?
Sure, go ahead.
I would. I think, our clients have been really fantastic through this. And I think Tamara and I can both agree that we feel really bad for people who are planning events at this time because it's already stressful enough without all this, uncertainty. And now they have all this. So number one, we really feel for them. And our clients have been really pretty amazing dealing with it. And, many of our clients have had to move numerous times because nobody expected it to be this long. When it first started, we thought, okay, like 2 weeks, a month maybe. And I think it just prolonged. And so for us, it's been really trying to manage all of our clients and kind of keep them calm. And also it's hard because they really look to us and ask like, what do we do? What do we do? But the hard thing is that nobody really knows what's going to happen, like in November, December, So it's been difficult, but we've been getting through this with them, and so that's been difficult. And it's funny because a lot of people have been contacting us and go, you must be so quiet now, and we're like, Tamara and I are like, what are you talking about? If anything, we're so busy because now we're trying to move all of our clients' events to next year or later this year. So it's actually been really, really busy for us. That's been, at least for me. What about you, Tam?
Same thing. It's been definitely a challenge, something new and something unprecedented, like Michelle said. So it's been challenging and difficult, but I think what I've loved is, as an industry, I think we've really come together. Like Michelle and I are part of there's a WhatsApp group with a bunch of planners and decorators and photographers and stuff that I think, Corinne, you're a part of it as well, that are in the group. And it's just everyone's been bouncing off ideas off of each other and talking about it. And that's been really helpful because we really don't know what else to do. This has never happened before. So it's been great that we've come together as an industry during this unprecedented time. And I think with us, in terms of our couples, most of them have postponed, which has been great, and which is what we are recommending if they're able to, because with our experience, these couples have been planning these events for months, sometimes even close to 2 years together with us. And it's just a shame that they're not able to have that beautiful wedding that they've imagined and that they've dreamed of and that they've planned and put so much effort into because of something that's sort of out of their control and something that's temporary, at least hopefully, something that's temporary. So that's been what we've seen so far.
I think one of the things we look at now is, especially because we're in stage 2 and we're reopening, the biggest thing now is looking at guest counts. And I'm sure a lot of the weddings that you guys were planning were having, like, what were some of your guest counts going into 2020?
200, 300, 400.
Right.
Like, usually, I mean, we have larger guest counts. So yeah.
And then it comes down to the decision of, do you want to postpone and try and keep that guest count for when this does finally, go away, or do you want to have something smaller, but then you're cutting 50 to 75% of your guest count, or even 80%, depending on how many people, right?
Yeah.
So have you had some clients that have gone the route of, okay, we're going to cut some people because 2020 is the year we really want to get married? Or what's kind of been that process?
I think for those couples that have, already sort of sent out their invitations or saved the dates, that's sort of a little bit impossible or hard to do, because how are you supposed to uninvite people now, right? So what we found with a lot of couples, what they're choosing to do is, if they still want to keep their 2020 date, is they'll hold some sort of small ceremony or gathering with their immediate family and bridesmaids or really close friends to still commemorate their day, but then, postpone the big party and the, ceremony till 2021 or whatever date that they choose. So that's what we've seen. But we have seen with couples that, are supposed to get married in the fall that haven't sent out their invitations yet, or that there are some couples that are choosing to lower their guest count and have a smaller, 40 or 50% wedding. Hopefully, that things will increase in terms of public gatherings closer. So we are seeing that as well.
Because as it stands right now, we are able to do, and we've discussed this earlier on the podcast, but in the stage 2 portion, we're able to do 10-person gathering at a private residence, up to 50 people outdoor for ceremony.
Correct.
And then the reception depends on your venue, and if it's kind of an establishment based on a restaurant, like there's a lot of different gray areas and guidelines that people are trying to navigate at this time.
Yes. It's 30% indoors.
30%.
30%. Yeah. So like Tamara said, like we actually have a number of weddings happening in August, like many of them. But they've all, most of them, I think either all of them or most of them have decided to do ceremony in August and have the party, the reception in 2021.
Right. Because at this point, you're not able to legally have a dance floor or a party.
That's right. Things might change today. We'll see.
Yeah,
after board announces. But yes, it's really, a party, there's gray areas. Like we've had some parties, but social distancing is still a thing. So, there's a lot of venues that I've been dealing with recently, and they said you could still have a party here, but with social distancing, you can have 3 or 4 people per table, unless they're a family, then they could sit together.
Right. So
it's not as real. It's just, you could do it. It's just not realistic. And it would be really hard to do. And like you said, there's no dancing. Even food right now, they're not doing family style. They're not doing, there's just so much that you can't do that is just really hard to navigate at this point.
And just for anyone listening who may not be familiar with family style is?
food on the table. So there's many cultures where family style is like the Russian culture. That's the norm. So you put food on the table and then everybody shares it. Obviously now that's just not sanitary. I don't know how that's going to happen again or when that's going to happen again. But so that's not being allowed, or even like buffets. That's also, unless it's served, that's not really going to be a thing for a while. Right. I think until this is, controlled.
Right.
But I do have to say, Corinne, people are being creative, because we are doing some, you are allowed to have post ceremony, you're allowed to hand out cocktail or like champagne and water for now. But what we are seeing is that people are doing sort of prepackaged boxes or individual little things of food, so that it's all prepackaged and no one's touching anything except the box, and you each have your own, and you can eat with your little champagne or like little favors as food favors as well as an option. So, and then people I think are hoping that we're going to at least be able to do cocktail style receptions that we can do post ceremony with appetizers, finger foods, no dance floor obviously for a while, but at least gives people a chance to sort of mingle, obviously with social distancing in mind, but still give people a chance to mingle and have some party aspect without the full blown party.
Right, but still make it feel like it's a wedding, like because you're getting that ceremony and the cocktail, and you're getting to see people.
Exactly. And we're still, with our couples, we're still encouraging them, get ready in the morning with your bridesmaids, do all of that, go for photos, like still have that whole morning, getting ready, the reveal, if that's, depending on the culture, still do that and still have the ceremony and still do, if we can do cocktail hour. So trying to make it some sort of normalcy as much as possible.
For sure.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I've been watching just if there's a couple shows on TV and I'm seeing people interact and they're getting really close, and I'm like I'm always thinking like, oh no, don't get that close. Just because it's been like 4 months of like, don't get too close, and so you watch something and you're just thinking like COVID. Anyway, it's something crazy. You start to notice, after a while. So I did see something on social media that you guys had thrown a party recently, which I thought was absolutely beautiful and really cute. So what was the party you guys had thrown that you had put up pictures, and kind of talk us through what that was?
So we actually had two a couple weekends, like one this weekend and one last weekend. This past weekend, we had a 30th birthday party that was planned by our planner, Karen, who's fantastic. And it was at a private residence. There was catering. It was very small. There was only about 8 people or so, but it was pretty magical. And I think people are still wanting these like very, just magical, beautiful parties, even though they're much smaller. And I think because people were in quarantine or in seclusion for so long that they just want any reason to just like have a great party. So that was this weekend, and it was great. I mean, we still had the social distancing aspect. We really, we always offer masks. We wear masks at events. Everybody is just really super careful. So that was this weekend. And then last weekend, we also had a party. Now it was interesting because it was a party on a patio at a restaurant in Kleinburg. Mm-hmm. It was beautiful. There was 15 people, which is allowed because it's a patio, and we made sure to socially distance. So what that means in that case, it was 6 people per table, which is the rules for the patio, 6 people per table, and the tables were 6 feet apart. So it still looks stunning. There was so much you can do. It was really wonderful and still just a spectacular party.
It's that feeling of being outside as well, like being on a patio, and it's calming just because you're in nature alone, and Kleinburg's beautiful and you feel removed from the city, but it just gives you that. So what was the vibe that you felt like? I guess people obviously know and love each other because they're coming together, but like, did you feel like everyone felt fairly comfortable?
You know what? I was surprised. So they were all doctors, pretty much. Like they were all, so I thought I thought people would be a little more nervous. Like I thought they'd all be wearing masks, and you know, I even had some extra masks I was offering it to people in case they wanted it. But no, I think they were pretty comfortable. Everyone seemed to be okay and mingling and drinking and enjoying themselves. So I was surprised at, you know, how comfortable they felt in that situation. But also, I mean, the restaurant was also really great at checking temperatures and giving everybody sanitizer before they walked in. They were also wearing masks. So I think because they saw the environment was so safe and they were being very particular, then I think it made them feel more comfortable as well.
For sure. This was a conversation I was actually having last night as well. Is I think if you are having an event and guests decide that they are going to go to your event, then they've made that decision that they're okay with the surroundings.
That's right.
Because if they're going to go and be uncomfortable, then it's unlikely they're going to go, or they may they may bring a sense of tension if that's the case. But it's usually probably unlikely if they're uncomfortable, they're not going to go. Most likely.
And there were some guests who were invited and said no. So like you said, it's exactly, they chose to be there. And I think just like, you know, the surroundings were pretty safe. So
have any of your clients been polling their guests to find out comfort levels, or I guess have most people just postponed right now trying to have their big party next year?
Yeah, I think most people have postponed. I mean, we still do honestly have some weddings, events happening in the winter. I think they're just still gauging and trying to figure out what the situation is. But I have a feeling they're all going to end up postponing. So I think most people are postponing because, like I said, most couples still want to have that big, beautiful, magical wedding that they've been planning for years. And also for a lot of couples, especially living in Toronto, where we're such a multicultural city, a lot of people have guests and family living outside of Canada who are unable to travel, but whom they obviously want to be here. So that's really been a big factor as well. With a lot of our couples, close to half of their guest count can be from out of town, which is a huge number. So they're waiting as well to postpone because they want all of their family and friends to be there.
Have some of your clients been moving to 2021 and choosing Fridays or weekdays?
Yes.
Has that been kind of a popular?
They have no choice. Some of them, like the ones most of them who are choosing Fridays. We have a few on Tuesdays. But it's a lot of the venues were booked up like a year in advance. So if they want to go to next year, they really don't have a choice but to go to a Friday or a Sunday or another day during the week. So yeah, that's been been pretty, you know, standard with 2021.
Also with some couples, you know, their specific date is really important to them. So if they do move to next year, then obviously it's not going to be on a Saturday again. So that can sometimes impact that as well. If they want that specific date. So.
Okay. Sure. And so if there is a couple who's considering having more of an intimate ceremony and moving forward in the next few months, what do you kind of suggest for them? What's kind of like something that they should look at if they're going to have something intimate?
That's a good question. So I know with us, just recently, we actually had masks made for our events that are branded. It's funny because Tamara and I were talking about this like 2 months ago. We're like, do we do it? Do we get masks? What do we need masks for? We're not going to be masked. You know, we just didn't expect it to go this long. And we didn't think that masks were going to be mandatory either. But either way, we would have worn it. But so we've actually been, you know, giving information to our clients about, you know, maybe personalized sanitizer or personalized mask with their logo on it, something that's cute, but would also allow the guests to feel safe, but it's also like a takeaway. And I know it's not like a great thing to remember, oh, we like got married in courting, but it kind of is. Like this becomes this is what's happening. So just kind of embrace it and just make light of it. And a lot of our weddings are getting these branded masks, which is cute. I don't know, if I got married, I would do that. I think it's a cute thing to add. It's kitschy.
It's kind of like, it's part of their story now. COVID is officially a part of their story.
It is. It's quite a story to tell, you know? Like, it's
unique.
What it is, so you just have to embrace it.
For sure. So with all of this right now, a lot of businesses are finding ways to pivot and do something different. Have you guys got anything happening on the agenda on your end that is kind of we should know about?
So, yeah, we have. So we started this backyard movie experience, which has been really successful, and it's gone off to a great start. And what it is we bring in a big movie screen, like it's a big inflatable screen, into people's backyards. We have an AV attendant. We have a popcorn machine, and people screen movies and watch movies in their backyard. And it's like a drive-in experience, but from the comfort of your own home. So it's been great. We bring in the Stoka chairs if you'd like. We have barbecue packages. We have little like pillows and blankets per person with little tag on it if you want. We've brought in slushy machines, cotton candy machines. So we've really made an experience out of this backyard drive-in. So that's it. We have one. Had one last night. We have one coming up on Tuesday. And a lot of people now are doing it also for Miss Bachelorette, because people are not really doing bachelorette parties. So we have a few coming up where they are doing this backyard movie experience, and they're watching Bridesmaids with all of their bridesmaids. So it's become like the new cool bachelorette party thing. So birthday parties and, you know, adults and kids. And so that's what we've been doing recently. It's been great.
Oh, there's nothing better than a backyard on a summer night. And I have to say this summer has been giving us the weather to be able to sit out in our backyards. Like these last few weeks have been quite hot, but really nice in the evenings, right?
Yeah, it's been great.
What's better than some popcorn, cotton candy, and a little Frozen 2? Is that still hot on the trend right now? I'm not into
that. Eurovision.
Oh yeah, Eurovision, right. That's the one. That's going to be the one. Amazing. Well, that's really cool. So where do people find more information about that if they want to inquire?
Yeah, so it's on our Instagram. We're doing it with our event partners, Event Circle. So you can go on their Insta. You can go on our Insta and find it as well. And really, we're just asking people to email us, info@fabfete.ca, and we can send them all the information. And there's so many add-ons that are included that we'll send them as well. And that's it. So it's a lot of fun. It's definitely an experience.
Amazing. Good for you. Way to pivot. Way to keep going during this time. It's time to get creative, right? It's been time to do stuff like that. So good for you guys. Well, is there any other advice that you want to drop us with? I
think what's really hard and something that I have to tell myself is that this too shall pass. Like that's something that we need to remember. It seems like, you know, this was a huge bomb dropped on us, on everybody, and it changed our entire world. And it's very difficult now to somehow think that, okay, this is going to be over and we're not going to have to worry about masks and social distancing at weddings, and we will soon be able to party and dance and have as great of a time as we did last year and the years before that. So I think that's something that's really important for all of us to remember, because it can be really daunting sometimes. You know, it can be sad when you have all these plans and, you know, all these things that you wanted to do. And 2020 was supposed to be the year, right?
It was the year.
Everybody, it was supposed to be the year. So I think that's really important to know that we're going to get through this and everything's going to go back to normal, and this is only temporary.
It's funny because it was supposed to be the year, but it still is now the year. It went from being like this promising year to like now it's the year of like redefining and changing and you know, like a whole new kind of navigation that we're all living through. So very interesting. So I do like to end off and always ask a question of what you guys, something you've enjoyed over the last 4 months, whether it be a book, a TV series, a movie, just an activity. What's kind of been something that your go-to in these last 4 months?
Oh, that's a hard one. I know. So with me personally, it's been hard and wonderful at the same time, because I have 3 kids at home who have kept me very busy.
Wow.
And so it was really difficult, especially when they were in school. Now they're at camp. So I really appreciate camp very much, and I appreciate all the teachers. But I can tell you, I've been watching a lot of TV and movies and Netflix, and I just saw a movie which I'm so embarrassed to say that I like so much. It was Eurovision, the movie.
Eurovision.
Okay, I tell you, I'm so embarrassed to even like mention this, and I love Will Ferrell. Like, I think he's hilarious. Some rules are better than others, but Eurovision, okay, not the plot was like a terrible plot. It was like, that's what you expect. But the music was so good, like so good. And so I can't stop listening to it. It's in my car all the time. So if anything, at least download the soundtrack because it's fantastic, especially if you like that type of music. So that has been my guilty pleasure recently.
I have to say I did watch that as well. And like, I think it was like the first like 20 minutes, I just kind of found myself going, what is this? What is this movie? And then it got towards the end and I was like, okay, you know, like it kind of changed and it was one of these ones you just couldn't look away from, but
yeah.
Really
the music.
The music was really good. It was
so good.
It was
I know, so funny. So,
and Tamara, what about you?
So I tried to take this opportunity to learn new things. So I started knitting, which was fun. I know I'm like an old grandma, but it was it was a nice way to just sort of calm yourself down and do something new. And then my husband and I are really into wine, and so we took this time to also learn more about wine and especially get into all the vintage wines that we have at LCBO. So that's something we've been really enjoying for many reasons. And TV-wise, my husband and I have been hooked on the new Unsolved Mysteries, which is incredible if you haven't watched it. And then I'm in love with Succession. It's on HBO, so it's really great. I highly recommend it. So that's been
a few things. And what have you knitted?
What have I knitted? I've knitted a scarf. It's not very good. It's a start. So yeah, I'm gonna try some more. I'm gonna keep learning.
And then into the winter, we want to see a little fashion show on Instagram or something. Well, thank you, ladies. It's been such a pleasure to see you. I hope to see you, in person again soon. That would be ideal. But until then, keep yourselves healthy and stay in your bubbles and do all of those things that we're all trying to continue.
Thank you. Thank you, Fran. You too.
Thanks for jumping on, ladies, and we'll see you again soon.
Anytime. Thanks.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.